with Rob Weller. And now, here's Rob.
Our next guest is the executive producer of Dr.Drew On Call on HLN, which focuses on the human and the human behavior at the center of the story. And he's also the developer, really, of the modern-day talk show format. Please welcome back again to Hollywood Headliners, Burt Dubrow. Let's talk a little bit about the show, Dr. Drew On Call.
Yes.
Of course, Dr. Drew is one of my favorite guys. I was lucky enough to produce him for a couple of years.
Yes, he talks about that now, and he cries. I'm
I
not
think
sure
you
why.
stole him from us, didn't you?
No, several years
As I
went by.
recall, I had an ironclad contract, and then the next thing I know, you're producing a show. Drew is not one of those divas, is he?
No.
An amazing guy.
Everybody that I run into that watches the show or people in the industry, they always ask me the same thing. You know, what's he really like? And I want to come up with some horror story, and I don't have one.
You can't.
He is, first of all, he's bright, bright, bright. He's so smart. He is a nice person. He will tell you he is a pleaser. That's why he's here. He's a doctor. His mind says, I'm going to make you feel better. That's the way he works. And he has no ego. He always wants to make the show better. We talk every single night, every night. We talk every morning, and it's his show now. And I say now because when we first started, it takes you a while to find what the show is.
Well, the format was not one that he had actually kind of done before.
That's right. And
you're sort of a specialist in these kinds of formulas.
Well, if you give me time, I usually have some idea of what I'm doing. But the truth of the matter is you need the time to
How long did you do Sally Jesse Raphael?
18, 19 years.
Okay, and how long did you do Jerry Springer?
Well, I was there 10 or something like that.
Yeah, okay, all right. So you've been around for a while.
Thanks, Rob.
That's a combined 78 years you just said right there.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
You must pull your hair out about ratings and how to capture any kind of audience.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, I don't know what's going to happen to CNN or HLN, not Headline News, HLN. I don't know. There's all kinds of rumors going around, and people are going to buy this, and Rupert Murdoch's going to do that. Who knows? I have no idea. But here's what I do know, that in the world that we live in now, and I don't think it's changed all that much in terms of what I'm going to say, you've got to gather a crowd. And I think I just took that from Phil Donahue. Donahue used to say, we got to gather a crowd. And the only way you're going to gather a crowd is to do things that are probably pretty argumentative, unfortunately negative, exploitive to some way. That doesn't mean in a bad way. But unless you're yelling and unless you've got major passion and you've got people going at it with each other in a good way, it doesn't mean they're going to be fighting. You're not going to get an audience. So if you and I are holding a remote control at home and we're watching TV and we switch it, what do we stop? We stop because something's happening. So my attitude is, on our show, or any show I do, something must happen.
With you guys bending more toward social media and figuring out what social media likes, social media, and everybody's got a camera on this thing, you know, so they're getting footage now. They can tweet you their thoughts, all that stuff right now. Are you finding that it's a way to get stories? I mean,
Absolutely.
Are people giving you suggestions?
Well, first of all, surveillance video is a big thing now.
Yeah.
So nobody can do. There's no privacy. So that's sort of one of our mantras now. There's no privacy.
Right.
So how do we deal with that? Drew deals with that and talks about all of that and how it's affecting our lives. And that's really what we're doing. It's really Drew's take on the behavior that's happening on social media. But with cameras, for instance, we've done stories where I just saw one the other day where at a school there was two girls fighting, and I would say 14, 15-year-old girls fighting. One had the other one on the ground, beating the hell out of them, and the mother was there encouraging the girl. And now, come on.
Wow. That was my introduction to Dr. Phil when I was a producer there. Was girls fighting.
Girls fighting?
Shooting themselves doing it. And
I just think they're...
I mean, you talk about
I don't know
what brings viewers to television, the Donahue concept. There, the word was, when we pitched stories, when we talked about...
This is a Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. It was, does it have the C word? You know what the C word was? Conflict.
Conflict.
But you know
what? They would
what?
not buy a story there unless it had that.
Wow.
And that word is used and overused and overused. We say heat.
Yeah.
What's the heat?
Well, Dr. Phil's been doing it for 20 years. That was his word.
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
Got to be some heat
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
True that.
Okay, well, from now on, Andy, you suck, and say I shut up and I hate you. I'm going to throw my shoe at you.
F off, Rob.
Yeah, really? Oh, yeah. Well, so what? I could care less about you. And that shirt's the ugliest color I've ever seen on you.
I
You
borrowed
guys
it. I
go
took it
at
from your
and I'll
closet.
stay.
Oh, shut up. What do you know? This is really good, Bert.
I told you. You see?
Jesus.
You wouldn't
All we
listen to
needed
me.
is a decent producer on this show.
You look better in a cowboy hat, though.
Hey, the always articulate, very thoughtful, really smart, and well-experienced Burt Dubrow. Thank you very much for being on Hollywood.
I love you, Rob. Thank you for having me.